The man you see on your screen right now is going to be the challenger to Magnus Carlsen at the World Championship match to be held in November later this year. Congratulations to Jan Nepomniachtchi. Fantastic performance. And he won the tournament with one round to spare. A result that went his way was Anish Giri losing his game to Alexander Grischuk in the penultimate round. And this is what we are going to analyze in this game. So Grischuk, playing with the white pieces, opened the game with 1d4. Now Jan was half a point ahead of Giri, and so Anish had a lot of pressure, because even if Jan and Anish ended on the same points, Nepo would win because of a better tie break. So Anish had to win this game, and so he opened with knight f6, c4, e6. Interesting that he didn't go for his favorite Grunfeld, because in the sharp lines of the Grunfeld, there are many drawing variations. There are many variations which are equal. And so he decided to go for e6, knight f3, b6, the Queen's Indian, g3, bishop b7, bishop g2, and a check on b4. Grischuk blocked. And now came the interesting move c5. If white player is not well prepared for this line, it can be very confusing, like what to do. Should I, take on b4 and double his pawns? Should I just continue normally with castles? All these questions are there on your mind. But Grischuk said he knew, he had ideas in this line, and that is why he played very well. And this is something that you can learn from and also incorporate these ideas in your white repertoire. CB, castles. Anish also castled, and now he played the move knight bd2. Now allow me to show you a few games in different moments. First, we will look at Karpov versus Nikolic. In this position, Karpov played queen d3, so that you know some ideas. d6, knight d2, queen c7, rook c1, knight bd7, e4, and usually e4 is met with e5. Now, very important point is that you don't really touch these pawns. You keep them as they are, and you go knight e1. The typical maneuver here, because after rook e8, you attack the b4 pawn. Knight e1 to c2. He played a5, and now comes the move rook e1, rook a d8, a3, ba, and queen a3. You will see that he could have also taken with the pawn here. But this idea of knight e1 to c2 and queen takes and also playing a3 are shown very well in this game. Karpov went on to win. Okay, coming back to the game, knight bd2 was played by Grischuk, d6, queen b3. Very good move. See, you can play a3 here, okay, but then after ba3, the thing is this structure is good for black. What white does is that he puts his queen on b3, forces a5, and now breaks with a3. So that if you take, then after ba, what has happened? b6 has become weak on an open file. It's a very important point of the move queen b3. So knight a6 was played. Now rook f d1. Let's look at another game. By the way, Anish goes queen e7 at this moment, but we will look at Vidit's game against Akopian, and I feel Vidit's game in 2016 World Rapid is very instructive. So what did Vidit do? His opponent played queen d7, Vidit played queen d3, rook e8, and typical idea from Karpov what to do? Knight e1. He takes with the king. Why? Because the knight is going to c2. Queen c7, knight c2, he took, and you take with pawn. So that the b file is opened, he defends on b6, and now with it played e4. e5, do you push d5? No. Right now you play f3. This is also a great concept we will see in the game. g6, and now rook to b5, putting pressure on b6 this way and also this way. Knight f8, rook d b1, rook a b8. And another important move here, I would like you to think a bit, what should white play? Knight to f1. Fantastic move by Vidit. The knight is coming to e3, and then maybe to d5, also controlling the c4 pawn. Knight e6, knight e3, rook c8, rook d1, and actually Vidit won this game beautifully. He played a clinical game, rook went back, knight came here, and he chopped off the pawn and went on to win a great game against Akopian. Okay, Anish maybe made a small improvement with queen e7 instead of queen d7. Now knight e1, as you know already, and you take with the king. By the way, here's another game that you should know. This is a very famous one between Karpov and Korchnoi from 1987. It went, instead of king takes, knight takes, rook d8, knight e3, queen e8, and queen d3. e5, again, you don't touch, you go knight e4. Good move over here. The threat is to simply take on f6. So he took, queen takes, ed, queen takes, and rook d4, and Karpov was already better with this weakness here, and he went on to win this game against Korchnoi. So this actually idea with knight e1 and knight c2, also, not sometimes pushing your pawn to e4, sometimes waiting, all of this Grischuk knew. That is why his play was very good. Here, we were considering whether Anish will go rook c8, rook d8, maybe e5, all these moves. But he surprised everyone with the move h5. Because he had to win. And when you have to win, you have to take risks. So he took some risk. Knight c2, Grischuk is like, take care of your b4 pawn. What are you going to do? So, okay, he took. Pawn takes, and now rook b8 was played. e4 was played. I think you could have also continued in Karpovian style with knight e3, not committing your pawn. This move e4 I felt was slightly in Anish's favor because he went e5. Grischuk went queen d3, knight c7, rook a b1, and put his knight on e6. Here the rook came to b5, and I think this was a critical moment in the game where Anish could have sort of tried for a bit more. He played rook f8, which was a interesting move, putting pressure on this pawn. Eventually wants to take, knight can jump to c5. But I think h4 would have created more sort of a mess on the board. Especially you cannot win this pawn because of rook d8, queen here, and queen d7. I'm looking at h3 check. You see the queen is x-raying that square. Also, I've pinned your knight here. So one variation can be knight e3, check, king here, and queen d3, offering a queen trade. And then I'm going here, my knight can jump here, knight c5, black is better. So rook b5, rook f8, okay move, h4, very strong move by Grischuk. Nihal Sarin was in the commentary at this point on Chess Base India, and he said the next three moves that Grischuk made, which started with h4, simply, outplayed Giri at this point. So that is something to learn. First of all, he stops any h4 by black. Now Anish played g6. Well, instead of that, he could have played ed4, knight d4, and knight c5. I think this could have led to equality. But Anish wanted more, like after queen e2 takes here, and the position is like, let's say knight f5, queen d7, knight e4, maybe rook e4, queen f3. Sooner or later, you will win back this pawn. The position would be equal and a draw would be most likely. But Anish wanted to win. And that was the reason why, he had to put a lot of pressure on himself. And Grischuk played brilliantly now. First, f3. We've also seen in Vidit's game. f3 move is very good. Knight d7. And now what do? Guys, think. Knight f1. The knight is coming to e3, where it will be very strongly placed. Ed, knight d4, knight to e5, queen e2. And I think this was the moment where Anish had to pull the brakes. He could have taken rook takes and played, he took and rook takes, but I think he could have gone rook e8, knight e3, takes, and rook c5. When white is slightly better, black can hope to hold on. But knight d4, rook d4, here knight went back to c6, rook d1. And f5 looks tempting here. But after a move like knight e3, very strong move. And if you take, what's a good move for white? f4. With the idea of rook g5 and f5, white is simply better. So queen e6 was played, knight e3, knight e7. I think now Anish was just clutching at straws here. He said that I was just trying to consider moves for my opponent, but not the best ones, because of which I landed in a bad position. He lost the d6 pawn, then the f5 pawn, and before you knew it, he was in a lost knight endgame with 2 pawns down. And Grischuk converted this without any difficulties. Here, moved the knight a bit, and here he resigned. And at this moment, Nepo had become the challenger because he had drawn his game with MVL. Anish had lost. Now the gap is more than 1 point, and no one can catch him. So huge congratulations to Nepo for becoming the challenger to Magnus Carlsen. Also, Anish played brilliantly, but the pressure of this game was a bit too much. Kudos to Alexander Grischuk for showcasing really great chess in this game. Overall, high-class chess. I hope you enjoyed and learned a lot of ideas. Guys, knight e1, knight c2, first queen b3. So just to recap, so that you have all these ideas in your head. First queen b3, provoke a5, then play a3, so that b6 is weak. Then you bring your rook to d1. Then you go knight e1, knight c2. Force him to take. Now this is weak. Then there were these ideas which were very, very nice and instructive, which was to first play h4, then to play f3, then to play knight f1 to e3. And well, guys, I hope that you will make use of these ideas in your games as well. This is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.